If your sun visor has become floppy over a period of time, you can see the gap there. And when we go back with it, it's under a lot of pressure. If you ever took one of these apart, you can see the kind of pressure. You can start to see how bad the splits are becoming. This is a two-piece clamshell type sun visor. You had this big gap there, and it's loose enough, it splits open apart and separates enough to where you end up with this kind of a flop. But you don't have to spend $50 to $75 and buy a brand new one. This kind does have a mirror. This particular one, this is on a Honda Civic, and a lot of Honda's sun visors will split out on a lot of different models other than the Civic. Right now it's about 40 degrees out, but what happens in the summer when this gets hot, it just can't take it. You got to keep in mind that at a temperature range from 80 up to 100 degrees outside temperature, the temperatures inside of a car will run from about 120 to as high as 172 degrees inside. And this plastic just can't take it. And in the summer, you know, when the sun is out and it's extremely hot out and you get in your car and you're ready to head home from after work and you happen to head into the sun, that's when you need this visor. So you quickly reach up there and snap it down, and after several cycles, it just takes its toll on it. But this is an easy fix and a very cheap fix. But you will need an electric drill. And I'll show you the components you can buy at any of the big box stores, what the proper names are of them. Another thing to think of is, what is your visor made of? This is simple plastic on this part. And this is the part we're going to drill and put our binding post. And we're plastic here too. But I'm going to take this one apart and show you what's going on with it, and just how small the piece is that this entire unit, this entire visor, actually pivots and swings on. We'll take this on the workbench and we'll disassemble it. Now what you're going to have to think about is on the visors, some of them are thicker. This visor is really not that thick. It's about 5/8 of an inch. Some of them are thicker, and they have a fabric on them. They're really thick. They're like maybe an inch, 3/4 of an inch to an inch thick, and they're really nice and plush. And the mirrors are no doubt illuminated. There might be even some more information up here on it. Now on them, you're going to have to do a little bit of research before you start drilling, because when you start drilling through a piece of fabric, the drill bit will catch and rip and shred. But if it's bad enough to the point where you've got to ask yourself, well, what have you got to lose? I'll go ahead and take a razor blade and I'll cut out an X in my fabric and try to separate that back and expose the plastic beneath it for my drill bit. Now, you have to do that on both sides. But it might be worth it. And again, it might be a shot. Or if you're in a financial position, throw it in the trash and buy you a new one. But we're going to fix this one cheaply. This vice grip illustrates what we're trying to achieve with the binding post. When you remove your visor, different automobiles are going to have different techniques, but this plastic clip, it just snaps on there. It's just a snap fit. Take it off with a flat screwdriver. Also, I want to show you that Honda, in their thoughtfulness, this is a Torx T25 star bit. But what Honda done, which is pretty nice of them, I think, you can also use a flat tip. You can use a flat tip or a T25 Torx. We'll fit it like a glove. Remove the 2 screws and the sun visor is in your lap. Okay, we've got our, what I think would be a typical hard plastic clamshell type of sun visor. You can see where the seam runs. It's only splitting out in here. You can clearly see what's going on there. You can see some plastic circles, some loops in here. If you ever get one apart, you get a pretty good idea of just how strong the spring system is in this. When it snaps up, this is when it is snapped back in the driving position where the windshield is clear. It snaps up above your head. As you bend it down, it takes a lot of pressure. There it would be up against the windshield. And inside here, you can see the circles, the loops. and they've been broken too. Now what you need to be able to see, this square here, this flat section here on the left and right, and then we have a square sticking up here. That's where this goes, the flats and then the cutout. So we're going to reassemble it. But all we're going to do is get this back in place. We're going to get it back up in there. Then we're going to take the binding post and drill 2 holes. When this is in place, our 2 holes are going to be somewhere around here to grip this. The idea is to get the clamshell to wrap around this mechanism as tightly as possible. So we'll get one put about here and about here, and then we'll try it. And we're just about there. I do need to pivot it though. It's amazing the amount of pressure on that spring system. I don't know if the camera will show it, but you can look in there and see where our cutout, you see the notch in there and the 2 flats, and that wants to lay in there. I have these loops. I could have probably opened up wider and cut them out of the way, but I'm not going to be too concerned about them because of this. Once I get it in place, I can snap it closed and get my binding post to hold it, and it should be almost as good as new. Now what I'll do is get a magic marker and spread that out, get an idea of where my metal is. I think it might be a better way for you to see it if I do this. Kind of turn it like I'm operating it. Now you can look in there and see that. You can also look to the left and right of it and get a really good idea where to place your binding post. And all we're drilling through there is plastic. When you go in to get your threaded post, this is from a big box store. I got the 5/8 post, and here's why. After squeezing this together the best I could and getting an idea of where I am on it, I'm less than 7/8 of an inch without it being compressed. I can almost get 13/16. So I got the 5/8 inch post, and how they measure them is this post here is 5/8 of an inch. You can see it's right on it. So I've got the threads. Well, I want to engage more than 1, 2, or 3 threads. But if I could get half of that threads, which would put me right at the width of this, it's going to put me where it needs to be. Keep in mind, if I can get it started and kind of help it along with my fingers, I'm hoping to engage about 50% of these threads on both posts. The only thing I did not like about these was their aluminum. I wish I could have got stainless. The aluminum, it's got to be the weakest post there is, but it's all Lowe's had at the time. But if you have time, you might go online and try to order you some good steel ones. Steel ones have a lot of strength. Just depends on your sun visor situation. They'll have different lengths of the post. They had 1/2 inch, and they had 3/4 inch, and I think they even went up to 1 inch. But in this particular visor, 5/8 inch, or by the time I compress it down enough, I think I'm going to be in good shape. There's a couple threads. On the hole size, I'm going with the size under 1/4 inch diameter. This particular post measures a little over 3/16 inch diameter. I'm going just slightly bigger. I'm not worried about the oversize too much. It gives me a little bit of slop to hit it in there. But I've got a good size flare onto the head of it, so I've got plenty of meat there to catch it and to grip. Well, you get the idea there. Now let's try this one. This one here, it's got some funny angles on it. When you get your post, try to get a measurement on this where the clamshell comes together and try to mash it. If you have to, hold it together and put a clamp on it and measure it. Make sure on your post you don't get too long a post, because the 3/4 inch would actually be sticking out on me and I wouldn't even be able to tighten it. So you want to be able to engage these threads and tighten that down to get a good compression on this. Now I have to go get a screwdriver. Be right back. If this head starts spinning, you might have to put a small pair of pliers on it. So far it's gripping pretty good. I'm not getting any spin on it. These are aluminum, you got to be careful. Aluminum threads are weak, especially this small. Probably have to get online and order me some good steel ones. I'm holding this and just trying to imagine how it's going to work in the car. Pretty good snap. I believe she's going to work. Like I say, this is aluminum. It's already wanting to strip out the head of that because my screwdriver's not the right size. It's a little bit on the small size. Now we'll bolt her in the car and check it out. Okay, we're going to go back with it and check out our modification. That's how she's going to go. I'm going to put the camera down and I'll start my screws. Okay, in this case it's very simple. 2 screws, they're T25s. Torx or a flat. Torx is much handier to use. It's one of the greatest inventions in fasteners ever, is going through the star drive with the Torx. It definitely obsoletes Phillips and flatheads. Okay, those 2 screws are tight. Nice firm shut. So the binding post or threaded post, whatever you want to call them, they're doing the job. Very good. Here's our shut. Let's look for a nice snap shut. Bingo. Very pleased with it. And it saves you 50 bucks. So that can't be all bad. Now we're going to snap the plastic cap on. See the little, it has a little indentation up here for that to snap in. There's one on the front. That one's got a gap, and that's a good one. I haven't ever taken that one off. So the gap I'm seeing there, we're going to call that normal. Well, please subscribe, and thanks for watching.